sell it, and then did it up so that the value went down, and then sell it at half the price. Then I'd make a profit on it, but you have a junk car. But they can legally sell stocks, bonds, commodities, and currencies short. Even worse than that, they have what they call naked short selling. Naked short sale is, I'm going to sell your car and I'm not even going to borrow it from you. I'm just going to sell it. And then I'm going to make money when it's got dented fenders. But they allow that. But if I sold your car, that's fraud, and I'd go to prison. But they do it all the time on Wall Street and in the stock markets, and especially in currency transactions. And the insiders, people like George Soros, use short selling to manipulate the currency value in many nations around the world. They drive the value down. First, they set it short when it's high. 2 or 3 of them get together and drive it down, and then they buy it back when it gets down low. And they almost broke South Korea's economy. They almost broke Indonesia's economy. George Soros alone, those 2 nations, just by short selling on the currency. And they had no protection. They just had to lay back and take it. So the answer to that is you can't sell anything, or there should be a law that says you can't sell anything that you don't have legal right to. If there's a title, you ought to have a title in your name. And then you can sell it. You can sell it for what you want to then. You can sell it for a lot less, but it's yours, so who cares? But you can't naked short sell, or you can't short sell somebody else's. In terms of financial oversight, the Federal Reserve System was created supposedly to settle down the financial situation of the United States, to keep the banks and the financial organizations under control, and to get away from all these booms and busts. But in all reality, the 1929 bust was caused by the Federal Reserve. They were put into business in 1913 to stop that, but the first right out of the box, they crashed our economy. And how'd they do that? Well, they did that by, they made money very cheap. You could borrow money for just on margin, and you could buy stocks and bonds and commodities and currency, and then when the price went up, then you could pay back that loan, and everybody would be in good shape. Well, from 26 to 29, they just passed money out like it was going out of style. In 29, all of a sudden, they drew it all back in, and they quit loaning money. They called all loans, and people had mortgaged everything, and so a lot of people committed suicide because they just couldn't get over it. Now, the Fed they had the power to then start issuing liquidity or issuing money, but they didn't. So it took about 10 years for the economy to recover. And now let's fast forward to about 1978. We had what was then called the savings and loan fiasco. The savings and loan was another deal that's similar to what happened recently, but they didn't use good lending practices, and most of the savings and loans went bankrupt. Well, it took about a generation or 20-something years for this to happen again. When Bob Rubin was Treasury Secretary, he told Congress, y'all too much of a burden on our banking system. You need to deregulate the banks. You're really causing them a lot of trouble. So they completely deregulated the banks. And then they came out with derivatives and credit default swaps and subprime lending and all sorts of gambles. And the world economy probably lost $50 trillion or something like that overnight due to these, because it was completely deregulated. So it took a generation to forget the savings and loan scandal. Now, the Lehman Brothers went under a little over a year ago. So it's been at least a year or longer since the crisis hit. And the Federal Reserve or our Congress have not done one thing to re-regulate the banks. Now, they can get up and pass a law tomorrow to set up a new holiday or something like that, but they can't re-regulate the banks. Because the banks they've got the hand in their pockets that you do it our way, we'll add more money in your pocket. If you don't, we'll take that money we put in there out. And so special interest, and particularly the financial Wall Street people, absolutely control Congress. And for the health bill they've been trying to pass, it seems like there's something like $2 billion in the last 3 months that they put in the pockets of Congress in the term of campaign financing. Now, why would they do that? Just because they're nice guys? Well, heck no. They're trying to, first of all, they're going to write the bill, and then they're going to pay them to vote for their bill that they write. So we're fixing to go into hyperinflation. With the Federal Reserve creating money right and left, I've got a chart in the book that shows the money supply, M3 money supply. It was fairly level for 40 years, and all of a sudden it took off straight up. And we don't know whether it's going to come down or whether it's going to keep going straight up. But the net effect is, as they create money, whether it's paper money or computer money, it drives down the value of the U.S. dollar as opposed to all foreign currencies. Now, most commodities, particularly oil and gold, are denominated on the dollar. So, as the value of the dollar goes down, the value of the dollar goes up, and the cost of oil goes up. And for the last dozen years, I've been advising as many people that will listen to me that if you have any loose change at all, put it in gold. And about 5 years ago, I said, well, now, if I think that's wise counsel, maybe I need to do that myself. So I bought into gold, and I bought gold at $337 an ounce. And today it's almost $1,200 an ounce. And will end the year at least $1,200 an ounce or more. Next year it'll probably end the year at least $1,500 an ounce. And some even predicting within 5 years it'll be $5,000 an ounce.
Wow.
And but I was on the side and I was watching it, and it started dropping. I said, well, maybe I need to buy it. And said, well, maybe go a little lower. And it went a bit lower, and then it went up. I said, well, I better watch some more. And then it went down. I said, well, it's heading down.